Coming to you from the Deep South, this is the Blue Collar Leadership Podcast. High-impact leadership is not reserved for leaders, and it has nothing to do with your position, title, or rank. However, it does have everything to do with your character. It's time to climb to the next level and beyond, personally and professionally. Now, let's start making it happen with your host, Mack Story.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for listening to the Blue Collar Leadership Podcast today. Today, I continue my deep dive into the competency component. Again, 7 chapters talking about competency and really focused deep on personal growth and leadership development, the competency required to grow and develop your character. So on chapter 23 of this 30-part series on my book, Blue Collar Leadership and Culture, the 5 components for building high-performance teams. So last time we talked about creating a leadership development and personal growth library. And today, I'm talking to you about chapter 23, which is titled Supply Occasional Motivation. The subtitle is Offer On-Site Personal Growth and Leadership Development Sessions. So if you remember, I told you this book is a how-to guide. It's a roadmap for cultural transformation. And in this 7-part section of competency related to the transformation equation, I'm teaching you how do you go do it. You can do it with whoever you want to do it with, but you've got to go do it. You can put whichever books you want to put in your leadership library, but you need a leadership library to grow and develop your people. Now I'm talking about bringing people like me. It doesn't have to be me. It can be me, but it doesn't have to be. But it's got to be somebody. It could be you. But if you're not going to do it, you need to get somebody else to do it. And you can mix it up. You can have a bunch of different people. You can have people from your team who are leading the charge, who maybe have been reading and studying from the library and want to create some type of program for your folks. You get to decide how to do it. What I'm sharing with you is you got to do it. How is up to you. I'm just going to tell you some ways you can do it. And obviously, I'm going to teach you and talk about the ways that I can do it and what I've been doing. The key is you got to go do it. So one thing I want to mention is an opening quote here by Bob Chapman. You've heard me talk about Bob before. He's the CEO of Barry Waymiller, a blue-collar organization. Massive blue-collar organization, multi-billion-dollar global company with hundreds of locations, and they do the stuff I'm talking about in this book, Blue Collar Leadership and Culture, and they've been doing it for a long time, and they help other people do it. But they're the top model, real world, real company, large company, blue-collar company, doing what I'm talking about and what I try to motivate and inspire other leaders to do, regardless of the size of their organization. But you got to have a leader at the top like Bob. And I hope that's you today. Or if it's not you today, I hope you become that leader tomorrow or in the future. That's really what I'm talking about. Not literally tomorrow, right? But you make it happen. You grow and develop yourself. You find your way and climb your way into these amazing organizations, or you start your own organizations. A lot of times, those who are truly hungry and pouring into themselves, they outrun everybody, so they have to go build their own organization because they can't find anyone who wants to do it at their level. So that's one thing that a lot of growth and development often leads to. All right, so I want to share this quote with you from Bob Chapman. He says, "We don't do a lot of awareness training. We want people to be intensely impacted by their experience so that it leads to significant behavior change. For that reason, our shortest classes run 3 days, while long classes require an investment of 2 to 3 weeks. We want people to think differently about themselves and about their work." That's high-impact leadership. That's what I'm talking about when high-impact leaders get it and they value it. Most companies, especially blue-collar organizations, I've said it, I say it all the time, most of them do nothing relative to leadership development. This CEO of this multi-billion-dollar global company with hundreds of locations He does 3-day classes is the short ones, and long classes are 2 to 3 weeks. It means they're paying people to come on site, and now they do a lot of their own development, but they still do what they did when they started. They bring in a lot of other people to speak and teach, but they have their own program as well, which is mostly what it's made up of now. But they still have external guest speakers come in. They do a lot of stuff, and they pay the folks to go through this training, and they invite people from the outside to go through this training. Your organization may not be big enough where you can put people through 2 or 3 weeks of training at one time, but it's big enough that you can do more than nothing, which is what most organizations are doing. So it really doesn't take that much to start separating yourself from your competition, because everything I'm teaching you about in this cultural blue collar leadership and culture book, the 5 components for building high performance teams, this is how you create a massive competitive advantage. You hear that quote I shared from Bob Chapman, and you can understand how he attracts and retains top talent. He's got an organization where they invest in people for days and weeks, repeatedly over time. He's got a book called Everybody Matters if you want to learn his philosophy and what he actually does, where he came from and where he's at the time that he wrote that book. Pretty sure that's where I got that quote from. That's when I really learned about Bob Chapman and the model that he has created in his industry. It's really unbelievable. So personal growth and leadership development is not about developing the tool set and skill set. It's about developing the mindset. And you can't just, what that means, developing the mindset, is you've got to motivate and inspire people to change their values. They have to do that. When they change their values, they're going to change the mindset. So what you got to do is help them develop that mindset. Because a person's mindset serves as the lens through which they view the world. And so if you're not doing anything to intentionally align everyone in the organization behind a common set of values and principles, which is what leadership development and personal growth is all about, saying this is who we are, this is who we want to become. If you want to be a part of this, come on. If you don't, we're going to miss you. That's what all this is about. And we're privileged to speak all over the country. Last year, we were in 40 states. This year, before the pandemic hit and shut down everything in the middle of March, we had been in 13 states and Canada, doing what I'm talking to you about in this episode: on-site personal growth and development. And if you don't know about the special offer, that's what keeps us so busy, because I help leaders, first of all, actually with all these 5 things I'm going to be talking about, and you'll see how we play a role in that. But you don't have to do it with us. But again, you have to do it with somebody. So what I can tell you about is how I do it and how my clients use us to do what I'm teaching you here. So we have a special offer. If you really want to learn the details of it, go to bluecollarleadership.com, look across the top menu buttons and select special offer. You can learn all about this special offer I'm telling you about, and it changes from year to year. So that's where you go get the most current special offer. But there's always going to be a special offer. It's just it's potentially going to change at the end of each year. Sometimes it stays the same, sometimes it changes. But what it is currently, as I talk about this in 2020, and I'm pretty sure it's going to stay the same in 2021, so it'll be that way another year. Basically, anybody who purchases 200 of our books, we've got over 30 books now, and I've got 5 of the Blue Collar Leadership series books, 5 different titles. You learn all about it as you go through this book, and I've been talking to you about them during this series. Anybody who purchases 200 in the United States, any of the 50 states, that's $3,600 bucks. And basically, they're not purchasing the book. We reduce our speaking fee to the cost of the books, which is $3,600 for 200 books. And then we give you 200 books for free. So whichever way you want to look at it, that's the way I look at it. You're paying us $3,600 to speak. We give you 200 books. Some people look at it as we're buying 200 books and you speaking for free. Whichever way you want to see it, that's the way it is. And so it allows people, leaders, to pass out books to people. It allows them to populate their leadership library in a hurry. And then it takes care of what I'm talking about in this chapter. It allows us to come in and speak on site. And basically what we say is, if your leader will invest in you, we'll invest in you. So whichever way they want to see it, we're either speaking for free or giving them books for free. Either way, we're investing in them because their leaders are invested in them. So right now, we pay all of our expenses and go speak on site, or due to the pandemic, we can do it virtually. But we speak for up to 2 hours. If you want us on site, we pay all of our expenses anywhere in any of the 50 states to come pour in and help you with your cultural transformation. And we're doing what I'm talking about here. We're helping you focus on the mindset, helping people change their lens through which they view the world. And I've got tons and tons of experience leading leaders, hundreds of leaders, thousands of their team members through process improvement, organizational change, cultural transformation. And then since 2012, I did all that before 2012. Since 2012, I've been focusing purely on helping leaders with leadership development and cultural transformation. But from 2005 to 2012, I logged 11,000 hours literally leading leaders and their teams, mostly through 1 week Kaizen events, lean manufacturing, process improvement. But again, we focused a lot. We did a lot of leadership development for our clients and that sort of stuff. So when you offer on-site, and it could be off-site, you could send people to workshops. We got, if you go to bluecollarleadership.com/workshop, you can see any virtual workshops or live workshops. We don't have any live ones right now, but there's some virtuals workshops coming up. So you can do that. You do all on-site development, off-site development, and you can do virtual development relative to this chapter. And what I'm talking about again is supply occasional motivation. I think as Zig Ziglar said, motivation's kind of like taking a shower. It wears off, but you got to do it every day. The shower wears off. You need another shower tomorrow. Motivation's the same way. It wears off. We go in places and we get to speak to people. And I'll tell you, we got a client, another construction client. I talked about a construction client last episode in Houston. This client is based near Atlanta, and the name of their company is Mack. They're another construction company. They do industrial maintenance and fabrication. And we're privileged enough relative to this chapter we're talking about right now. They take advantage of our special offer every month. And at the moment, we're scheduled to be there for basically 12 months in a row. And we're teaching this content I'm sharing with you now is what we're doing initially. The first 6 sessions, we're doing 2-hour sessions. When I say we, me and Rhea, my wife, teaching the content from this book to everybody. The leaders that I make are focused on big time cultural transformation. They're doing it deep. They're creating the library and resources. They're bringing us in to do on-site leadership development. I'm going to talk about some other things later in future episodes. But we're coming once a month on site for 2 hours. The owners of the company have built this massive barn. It ain't really a barn, but it looked like a barn. It's a brand new building. Nice building. It's got roll-up doors. You get a lot of airflow in there. It's massive. I mean, it probably can hold several hundred people easily, socially distanced, with air flowing through it. I mean, it's awesome. It's got a PA system. And the owners use it for corporate events, for corporate training. And I think right now they're around 200 employees is what they have, or maybe a little less, somewhere around there. But it's an awesome facility for doing training and also like year-end celebrations and stuff for the entire company. Amazing facility. And what they use it for also is they pay anybody who wants to come, everybody from entry level to the top, support people, everybody, to do what I'm talking with you about right here. On-site, occasional motivation. And occasional for them is once a month. And everybody can come. And everybody gets paid. And people can bring suppliers or customers or family members. That's what the owner told them last time we was there. Bring people. I hope every time we've got more people. And, you know, because of the pandemic, they've been really well spaced. They've been wearing masks the whole time. We wear a mask unless we're actually up front speaking, but then we're 12, 15 feet away from people. And we're up in the front. There's no congregating right now. When they get finished, everybody gets up and leaves. You know, they don't pile up and talk and that sort of thing. So everybody's trying to be safe, but the leaders are serious about cultural transformation. It doesn't stop because things are happening in the world. When the leader's serious about it, they make it happen. So that's a privilege. Every month they get 200 books. They get different books because we have a ton of books. But the value is they want everybody in that company to go through this training on the culture book, the book that I wrote for the top leader. But their top leader understands everybody needs to know why they're about to do what they're about to do. And once we're done with this first book, we'll dive into another book. We're going deep into each book. So unless something changes, probably be years of us going there every month, teaching the content, setting them up for success. And it's been amazing to hear the conversations when the people come up and speak to us afterward. And they don't stay long, especially now during the pandemic, but I'm really talking about before the pandemic hit, when people really could come up and talk to us. We could interact a lot at break, interact after we're done and finished. And we always bring books, so anybody can buy extra books if they need books for their family members or that sort of stuff. If we're within driving distance, which for us is about 10 hours from Atlanta, we usually take our books, set up a book table, not to push sales on people, but when people go in, they hear about it and they get fired up about it. Maybe they think about their children or their spouse or family members who could benefit from some of our books. They're available to the folks. So when you offer on-site or, again, off-site development sessions, you're doing several things at once. So let's talk about, like I just used IMEC as an example. We're going there once a month. Last time they had over 100 people there. Pretty amazing. And the people are hungry because they see that their leaders are investing in them. So what are they doing? Several things at once. The leaders are demonstrating to their team that they're committed and cultural transformation is important to them. You put all your people in a room once a month and pay them to be there and bring in somebody from the outside. You give them books. You do that once a month with everybody in the company. There ain't no doubt you're committed and you're serious about what's going on. So it sends a very strong and clear message to those who want to buy in that it's not a temporary thing. You're serious about it. It's who we're becoming. And when we're talking, we're communicating that to the people. We tell them, if you're serious about this, your leader needs to know it. They need to know who's hungry. They need to know who's going to be at the tip of the spear leading this organization. And I tell them, you're going to have more influence with these leaders probably than anybody in the company, no matter what your position or title is, because your leader is here today saying, this is so important. We're putting everybody in here for a couple hours a month in IMEC's case. And that's IMEC is what I'm saying. That's the name of their company, in case you're really not sure what it is I'm saying. IMEC, based near Atlanta and operated in that area. Another thing that you're doing when you do these on-site or off-site development sessions, and the reason I say off-site too is sometimes leaders who bring us in, they don't have a big, nice facility like IMEC. So they rent a conference room at a hotel or something like that, and they bring everybody there. Or sometimes they don't bring everybody. They just bring specific people. But the ones who are truly, truly serious, they include everybody at every level in every training, because they know everything I'm teaching applies to everybody. So you're also demonstrating that you're bought in at an extremely high level. I remember last time when we were speaking at IMEC, I asked the people in the room, what kind of person would it take to pay the salary of all these 100 people, 100 plus people in the room for 2 hours? That's a lot of money. And then to buy all these people in the room a book. How much money is that's a lot of money. I said, what kind of character, what kind of leader, what kind of person would it take to pull that money out of their pocket and do this for all of the people in this room? And then I pointed over at their leader. His name's Bruce. I said, that's what it looks like right there. That's the kind of person it takes right there. Because at the top level, all of your pay for these 2 hours, all of these books that your company's buying, 200 books, come directly out of his pocket. And that's pretty powerful when they really think about it. And they see, I said, the leader doesn't even know. He doesn't even know if you're going to take these books and start a fire with it when hunting season comes. He don't know, but he's invested in you and believing in you and trusting in you that you're going to read this content, dive into it, get on board with it, and help lead this organization through cultural transformation. And everybody's going to win. So why wouldn't somebody do it? And if they wouldn't do it, eventually they don't need to be on the team because they're not going to fit. They may fit in the beginning because there is no formal initiative to align people behind a common set of values. But once there is, people choose to become irrelevant. And how they choose to become irrelevant is they don't get on board. No one can make them irrelevant. Only each individual can do that. So what else are you doing when you do on-site and off-site development? You're making the people feel valued at a higher level because you're investing directly into them. And that's what we help communicate that message, as I just described. And throughout whatever we're talking about, that's part of my mission as the speaker in front of the room, talking to the people, sharing stories. I want them to know they valued. That's why the leader invested in them. That's why we paid our expenses to travel wherever we're at in the 50 states to invest in them, because they matter as people. They matter to this company, to this organization, and the people feel it. You can see it on their face. I love it. Something else it does, when you do this as a leader, you're providing new insights by introducing them, meaning your people, your team, to new people, to new ideas, to new examples. When I share stories of how I got it wrong in all areas of my life, those people are getting new insights. The people in the room, they're hearing somebody model humility. Talk about not just their wins and success, but their mistakes. It's one of the things I talk about the most is how I got it wrong, because I know there's people in the room who also get it wrong. I'm not the only one in life who's gotten it wrong, but real people need to hear from real people. And that's one of the things that one of the greatest compliments we get, and we get it nearly every single time we speak, is how authentic we are. That's because I'm a real person, and when I'm talking to the blue-collar workforce, I know I'm talking to real people. So it ain't very hard for me to connect with those people because I'm one of those people. And also, if you're the leader and you're on the front row taking notes, you're humbly demonstrating to your team that you're willing to learn and grow with them. So that's something they get to see. I remember really one thing that really stood out to me was when we were in Kilgore or Houston, Texas at Kilgore Construction about two years ago. So 2018. Yeah, 2018 in October, we were out there. The first time we'd been there, and we did a day and a half. They brought in a lot of people, put them in this massive building that they operate out of. They had cleared it out and set up tables and chairs and PA system. It was really cool session that we had. I mean, 100 plus people there easily. What was awesome was Jeff Kilgore, the CEO, and Ken Kilgore, the COO, and some other C-level leaders and VPs, all the leaders. But definitely those two top leaders, the ones who actually own the company. What was cool was they didn't stand in the back. Like I see some leaders sometimes, they come and they stand in the back with their arms crossed. And they look around and they want to see what everybody's doing. That's okay. I'm glad they're in the room, but there's a higher level of being if you want to be a high impact leader modeling in the room. And see, what's different is that's what Jeff and Ken did that day, the owners of that company. And I think they have like 1,000 people in that construction company out in Houston. And they also operate in different places in Texas. But what was cool about them was they didn't stand in the back of the room with their arms crossed. They got a seat at the front table where everybody could see them. They pulled out their notebook. They probably took more notes than anybody in the room. They modeled that they also are learning and growing, that we are a resource for them to learn and grow, that they also need to be learning what the rest of the people need to be learning. Tremendous modeling of high impact leadership. They didn't just bring us in to speak to the people and leave or never even show up. They participated at the front of the class. That's powerful. I want to leave you with a quote today from Zig Ziglar. He said, the only thing worse than training an employee and having them leave is to not train them and have them stay. You know, a lot of companies who don't do all this kind of development, when you start talking about it, one of the first things they think, sometimes they literally say it, what happens if we train all these people and they leave? I say, man, there's something way worse than that. What happens if you don't train them and they stay? See, insecure leaders who've never done this, that's what they think. Their mindset, we talked about mindset earlier in this episode, their mindset is if I train these people, they're going to leave. Because their mindset's still stuck in the way it is today. People want to leave. When you start growing and developing people deeply, like I'm talking about, with cultural transformation, like I teach in this book, Blue Collar Leadership and Culture, yes, some people are going to leave because they're going to grow like crazy and leave. Most people don't want to leave. They stay. They want to stay because now they become a part of something bigger than themselves. It's not just about work anymore. It's about doing something truly cool, and it's creating an environment where people thrive internally and they attract great people. So instead of working with a bunch of people they don't want to work with, they begin to get to work with a bunch of good people. Sometimes life at work is better than life at home. So I'm going to leave you one more quote I want to add today before I drop off. This is from Carol S. Dweck. She says, great teachers set high standards for all their students, not just the ones who are already achieving. Why that's powerful is because that's what high impact leaders do. They grow and develop everybody. That's why, like I said, with Mack, everybody is invited and expected to participate. They don't have to, but those who don't they're going to become irrelevant. They're not going to be irrelevant in the first month or the second month, maybe not even in 6 months. But somewhere between 6 months to a year or a year and a half, 2 years, somewhere in there, if the company keeps transforming, those people are going to be completely irrelevant. They're either going to leave the company or get left by the company. But it's not because the company didn't try to bring them along. It's because they didn't want to come. And they're welcome not to come. But they shouldn't be expected to have a seat on the bus if they don't want to play on the team. You with me? Talk to you next time.
Make it happen or someone else will. It might as well be you. Are you serious about taking your career and your life to the next level and beyond? Check out Mack Story's Blue Collar Leadership series books and others, now available on audio, along with paperback and ebooks at Amazon, iTunes, and Audible. Please visit bluecollarleadership.com to learn about Mack's books, programs, special offers, certifications, and more. Thank you for listening to the Blue Collar Leadership Podcast.